He's a billionaire who has to go on a date every day. All because his grandpa wants a great-grandson. But he's only interested in his job, not in beauties. Out of frustration, his grandpa threatens to sell all the family assets to save the family business. His aunt promises to find him a wife within a month. But every date is intentionally ruined by him. Now this is his 99th date. But this woman is clearly not his type. Just as he was about to come up with an excuse to leave, a beautiful waitress came over. He glanced at the girl's name tag. Suddenly he had an idea. "Darling, are you working today? I'm sorry, I hope you understand me." He pretended the waitress was his girlfriend, escaped under the guise of explaining to her. He thought he could avoid his blind date this way. Unexpectedly, the woman followed crying. Henry immediately kissed Isla passionately. Ella struggled mightily, but he only held her tighter. It wasn't until she stormed off in a huff that he finally let go. In her anger, Ella slapped him. However, all of this was seen by the aunt following Henry. After getting slapped, Henry knew he was in the wrong. Without a word, he turned and left, thinking that they would never cross paths again. Little did they know, their destiny started from that moment. When Ella returned, the restaurant manager found her, as she was about to be fired for the earlier fiasco. In her anger, she retorted that she didn't care. In the evening, Ella went to find her brother, but he had been taken away due to a high-interest loan. They also demanded $1 million within 3 days, or she would never see her brother again. Ella is completely desperate, because she only has an 80-year-old grandma and a 7-year-old sister at home. Combined, they could only scrape together a few hundred. Just when she was at her wit's end, Henry's aunt found her, and offered her $1 million job as an assistant in the company. But as a condition, she needed to make the boss fall in love with her within a month. Ella thought she was a scammer, and didn't want to bring trouble onto herself, ready to leave right away. Unexpectedly, a price of $2 million was shouted from behind. She thought not only could she solve her brother's problem, but also improve her family's living situation. She instantly succumbed to the evil allure of money. Next, her aunt gave her a complete makeover, with various outfits that made her question her life, and high heels she'd never worn before. But that's not all. She also had to learn the boss's style and life habits. Even her phone's ringtone had to be changed to his favorite music. Once everything was ready, she transformed from a country bumpkin into a sexy goddess, as directed by her aunt. She arrived early at her boss's house to prepare breakfast, and was startled the moment she turned around. "Isn't this the man who forcefully kissed her that day?" She snapped out of it with Henry's reminder. "You're not dressed." Apparently, Henry didn't recognize her after the makeover. As a personal assistant, Ella not only has to take care of the boss's eating habits and living conditions, but also record the boss's daily work schedule. However, she was completely disorganized on her first day at work. She was also scolded by manager Lucy. Just as she felt annoyed by it, her dream man, David, suddenly appeared. Ella instantly became smitten. After a brief greeting, she went to gossip with her co-workers, while learning that David is a partner in the company. She also found out that David has a crush on Lucy, but Lucy likes Henry. While she was fussing over David and criticizing Henry, Henry stopped when she called him. "It's time to go." Ella's ringing phone in the elevator caught Henry's attention. He couldn't help but take a few more glances at her, while Henry discussed designs with the supplier. Ella curiously asked the driver why he was going in alone. The driver revealed it was Master Henry's address. The Henry family has been in the shoemaking business for a century. His parents passed away early. The master treats him like a son. Every time a new shoe design comes out, Henry is the first one to show it to the master. At this time, Ella's feet were painfully tortured by her high heels. With the driver's permission, she immediately took off her shoes to relax. However, just then Henry returned. She had no choice but to put on her shoes while explaining. This adorable scene made Henry couldn't help but laugh. When they returned to the company, Henry and Lucy have a disagreement over the model selection. At this time, Henry's attention is unconsciously drawn by Ella. Lucy notices the change and follows his gaze. She can't help but feel a bit jealous. Then she sees that Ella is not going home after work. She decided to pick a fight. Ella says she's planning tomorrow's itinerary. Saying this, she goes to report her work to Henry, but Henry just keeps staring at her blankly. So much so that he has no clue what she just said. Just as Ella finished her report, and was about to ask him about that day at the restaurant, Lucy suddenly walked in. She slowly approached Henry, and reminded him of the dinner he still owes her. Her imposing demeanor seemed like a blatant declaration to Ella. Left with no choice, Ella had to leave. Upon her difficult return home, her grandmother saw her suspicious dress, and questioned whether she did something unsavory. Before she had a chance to explain, she saw her sister walk out in her high heels. Scared, Ella hurriedly asked her to take them off. After all, she couldn't afford to replace them if broken. Finally ending this busy day, she received a barrage of texts from her aunt as soon as she lay down. She even came to see her directly. Upon learning of Ella's lack of progress for the day, her aunt twitched at the corners of her eyes, warning her that taking her money means she must complete the task, have her start from tomorrow, and report progress every hour. The next day, Ella went to Henry's house to make breakfast as usual. At this time, Henry showed up saying there's no need due to work at the company. Just as she was about to leave, Ella suddenly turned around and asked, "Do you remember us meeting before?" Seeing Henry's bewildered look at her, Ella had to say, "It's okay if you don't remember." Just as she was about to exit through the door, Henry stopped her.